Okay, colleagues, so those of you who have been to the first seminar know that it is my custom to begin the course in philosophy of science with a wonderful quote by a brilliant French writer, Jean-Paul Sartre, right? So this is from his book, The Nausea, La Nausea. It's a book that he wrote in his early 30s, so it's a bit of a rash, a young man's book, very much, so to speak. And the point of reading this quote is that, it's supposed to get us into a certain kind of skeptical mood. It is supposed to, so to speak, temper our pretensions, the grandiose pretensions to understanding the truth about the nature of the universe. And there's a bunch of other things going on in the quote as well. So let me read the quote. It goes like this. So I look at the gray shimmering of the town at my feet. How far away from the townspeople I feel, up on this hill. It seems to me that I belong to another species, right? So in an important sense, kind of this feeling of skeptical vertigo, I want us to take a step back from the busyness of everyday life, maybe get into something a bit like a meditative mood. Again, this idea of that philosophers are not supposed to be normal human beings, that we look at ordinary life as if we are aliens. Try to, phenomenological reduction. Try to see familiar as strange, right? So the people, they come out of their offices after the day's work. They look at the houses and the squares with a satisfied expression. They think that it is their town, a good, solid town. They aren't afraid, they feel at home. They have never seen anything but the tamed water which runs out of the taps, the light which pours from the bulbs when they turn the switch. They are given proof 100 times a day that everything is done mechanically, that the world obeys fixed, unchanging laws. Bodies released in a vacuum all fall at the same speed. The municipal park is closed every day at 4 p.m. Lead melts at 335 degrees. The last tram leaves the town hall at 11:05. So you can see how he juxtaposes the laws of nature and the laws of society, right? So a lot of things to be said here, immediately people will be reminded of David Hume and his exploration of what Hume calls constant conjunction, right? Why do I take a sip of this water expecting that the water will not kill me? Do I have a definitive proof of that? On the one hand. On the other hand, again, this very interesting idea that I keep circling around, that even though, in this Cartesian fashion, and Descartes is very much, I feel, a target for Sartre as well, in this Cartesian fashion, we believe that we are free agents in control of our lives, but at the same time, human life is so extremely predictable. Especially if you think of public transportation, public transport like metros or trains, how everybody is sitting there quietly, everybody is doing exactly what they're supposed to. So many of our interactions throughout the day, it's as if you are pushing buttons on a robot. So Paul Bloom, a psychologist from Yale, asked this question. Like, if you slap me on the face right now, somebody comes in and slaps me on the face, why is it that I get, let's say, angry, upset, maybe a bit afraid? Why isn't it that, for example, I develop an exquisite desire for a bowl of cold soup? If somebody punches me in the face, why do I get angry? Why is this characteristic emotion that I get, and not an emotion of wanting a bowl of cold soup? Back to Sartre. So this is a young man's novel, so this skeptical vertigo, but also it's a bit, a bit too rash, a bit too conflictual, right? A bit too countercultural, right? So Sartre continues. The idiots, right? People in the street who believe that the water will not poison them. The idiots. They make laws, they write populist novels, they get married, they commit the supreme folly of having children. And meanwhile, the vast, vague nature has slipped into their town. It has infiltrated everywhere. But I, says Sartre, I see it, that nature. I know that nature's submissiveness is just laziness. I know that nature really has no laws. It has nothing but habits, and it may change those tomorrow. Again, think of David Hume. So he continues. What if something were to happen? that may happen at any time, straight away, in the next second perhaps. The omens are there. Think of the false vacuum of the Higgs field. Let's devote some time in the seminar to discussing what exactly is the false vacuum of the Higgs field. Anyway, so Sartre continues. For example, the father of a family may go for a walk, and he will see a red rag coming towards him across the street, as if the wind were blowing it. And then the rag gets close to him, he will see that it is a quarter of rotten meat covered with dust, crawling and hopping along, a piece of tortured flesh rolling in the gutters and spasmodically shooting out jets of blood. Or else a mother may look at her child's cheek and ask him, "What's that? A pimple?" And she will see the flesh puff up slightly, crack and split open, and at the bottom of the split, a third eye, a laughing eye, will appear. Or else they will feel something gently brushing against their bodies, and they will realize that their clothes have become living things. And somebody else will feel something scratching inside his mouth. This is the best part. I hope everybody has sweet dreams tonight. And he will go to a mirror, open his mouth, and his tongue will have become a huge living centipede, rubbing its legs together and scraping his palate. He will try to spit it out, but the centipede will be a part of himself, and he will have to tear it out with his bare hands. Sartre goes on for several more passages. And then he finishes. Then I shall burst out laughing, even if my own body is covered with filthy, suspicious-looking scabs, blossoming into fleshy flowers. I, says Sartre, I shall lean against the wall, and as they go by, I shall shout to them, "What have you done with your science? What have you done with your humanism?" I shall not be afraid, at least no more than I am now. All those eyes which will slowly devour a face, no doubt they will be superfluous, but no more superfluous than the first two. It's a beautiful quote in so many ways. And I think, all sorts of topics in this quote, but especially this skeptical topic. How do you know that your tongue will not turn into a centipede in the next moment? This is the kind of mood that I want us to get in before we proceed with the course.